Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about something that'll be really helpful for argumentative essays. This is called the rhetorical triangle and is relevant for any argument you're trying to make. So let's say that someone is trying to persuade you to consider no longer supporting factory farming. How likely are you going to be persuaded by a sobbing woman screaming about how much she loves baby piglets while angrily cursing that all farmers involved in factory farming should suffer? Your reaction to this argument would most likely be to back away or to question where her facts are. How likely are you going to be persuaded by a monotone lecture dragging on and on about the statistics on antibacterial resistance in livestock and how bacterial plasmids work? It'd be hard to feel sympathy for an argument focused on statistics alone. How likely would you be persuaded by a person claiming that their uncle's friend's wife's cousin once experienced a stomachache after eating beef bought from a factory farm? That's not exactly a credible person to quote. These three examples show arguments that are imbalanced on the rhetorical triangle. According to Aristotle, there are three modes of persuasion which make up the rhetorical triangle. These are ethos, which is an appeal to character or credibility, pathos, which is an appeal to audience or emotion, and logos, which is an appeal to reason or logic. All three of these are essential to balance in order to have a strong argument. So how exactly can you ensure that you have all of these? Let's start with pathos, which focuses on using emotion in your argument. The first step to being aware of your pathos is understanding who your audience is. You can't appeal to the emotions of someone if you don't know who they are or what they care about. Let's say you're arguing that college should be free to high school students. What do high school students care about after graduation? At this age, their emotions might be somewhere between excited and anxious for the future. You can appeal to that by explaining how funding could give them a stable and successful future. Persuading someone who has already graduated college, on the other hand, would rely on other tactics. What are their emotions? They're most likely going to be frustrated about their own student debt and hesitant to lose any more of their money to taxes that may pay for the new generation of students. This is where you can use that knowledge to ease their worries. Explain to them why the taxes either aren't as bad as they fear or how an educated generation benefits them. This is an example of knowing your audience and their possible emotions. Try to tug at the heartstrings of your audience using what they care about. An audience of parents that care about their children might be moved by a story of a child in need, just as a vegetarian that cares for animals may be moved by a story about the rate that PETA euthanizes animals. Ethos, on the other hand, is about the credibility in your argument. To use ethos, you should either use credible sources or explain your own credibility on a subject. If you're a mechanic, your opinion on the best type of car engine is more likely to be valid than someone who has never even driven a car before. A good example of when ethos is used for persuasion is in one of the most common forms of persuasion in everyday life, commercials. So let's say we have two commercials. Commercial 1 has a dentist in a lab coat come out and say, 9 in 10 dentists recommend toothpaste X for their patients. Sounds pretty credible, right? Commercial 2 has this random man sitting at a bus stop. He says toothpaste X worked really well for him. It worked well for his sister too. There's a reason that toothpaste commercials almost always involve dentists, and restaurant commercials tend to include top chefs in their advertisements. Logos is about your logical argument you provide facts for. To use logos, you need to use proof for every statement you make. For example, if you state, too many teens get in accidents these days, it isn't exactly clear if that's even a true statement. Now, if you say 30% of drivers under the age of 20 have gotten into accidents in 2014 with a source, you provide logic for the statement that you made. Besides statistics, other facts and arguments work well for logos as well. For example, you could argue, shapes with four sides are rectangles. This shape has four sides. Therefore, this shape is a rectangle. In that example, you're not using statistics, but you're still using a logical explanation for how you came to the conclusion you came to. With logos, it's very important to make sure that every claim you make is substantiated. Logical fallacies can hurt your argument by making it fall apart. I'll make another video on logical fallacies later. But one of the many logical fallacies, for example, is slippery slope, where you come up with a catastrophic cause and effect scenario that leads to a conclusion that's unfounded. Like, if we don't stop global warming, polar bears will move to the south and mate with grizzly bears, and their cubs will come to America and wipe out all humans in America. Wow, that's a bit out there. I mean, there is some truth there. Polar bears and grizzlies have been mating due to climate change, and polar bears are more aggressive towards humans than grizzlies. but that claim is just logically unsubstantiated and a little bit of a stretch. So to review, a good argument includes pathos, which appeals to the emotion of your audience, ethos, which appeals to your credibility, and logos, which appeals to the logic of your argument. Using too much or not enough of these can be the difference between making and breaking your paper. So before you begin angrily attacking the opposing side, or basing your entire argument on a non-credible source like your neighbor, check your essay for the balance of these three pieces of the rhetorical triangle. My name's Angela, and you can feel free to message me on Canvas if you have any questions. Have a great day.